Doo-doo, chick-doo-doo. That's the angle. Doo-doo,
what?
chick-doo-doo. That's the podcast.
All right. We are joined here with Brian motherfucking Green, man. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How you doing?
You hanging in there?
I mean, kinda. I think the worst of it is past at this point for me.
hmm Yeah,
I just
sorry to cut you off, but I want to preface people who are listening right now who might not get what's going on. So, guys, real quick, before we get balls deep into this awesome conversation, so Brian Green is honestly a stranger from Craigslist who's on the podcast right now. But there is an amazing story behind this where the other day, me and my friend Alex, she gave me the bright idea. We were both just talking, and I was like, wait a minute, like, why don't I just post an ad on Craigslist and see if I can get some interesting guests to the podcast? So I did that. And if you want to know more information about that, there'll be a video link right over here somewhere with a card that you can click and learn about how this idea started, how it came to be. You can see all the people who emailed me with their interesting reasons why they're interesting guests and stuff like that. But I got to say, out of all of the emails, Brian Green, aka the guy I'm on the phone with now, Brian, had the best email. And out of everyone, we were so interested to talk to Brian. So
I feel honored, man.
That's
really
the
do.
backstory. That's the backstory right there. And I gotta say, man, you were so honest, and like it was a big long email that I thought would just be a complete waste of time to read. But after I read it, I laughed so hard, and I also felt simultaneously so bad for you, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just wanted like I was up early that day, so I was like drinking coffee and I was like applying to jobs. So I was on Craigslist, I was on Indeed, and just like doing so many things because I mean, I guess I could just start out by telling everybody like what happened, like what has happened to me, what has transpired over the last month or two.
Sure,
Well,
we can get right into it if you want to.
yeah. I mean, well. So since the quarantine has started, I guess I'll start back in like March, when I was on vacation in Florida. Everything was great down there. Like I got to see my family and everything. And then I heard about this, the quarantine thing was going on like a little bit. And then like I work in the like hospitality industry. So I work at a restaurant
Mhm.
and those were just starting to get affected. And I
Yeah.
was like texting my friend I work with. I'm like, how is it? And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. It's like getting kind of slow. People are kind of freaking out about this. And I was like getting kind of worried. I'm like, oh, man, that stinks. So when I got back from Florida, like everyone's hours were cut. And like we just started like not letting people in the dining room and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, no. And then in the process of that happening, like end of March, we were looking for a place with like 3 people. And I don't know, like you're from the DC area, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So like 3 people around this area is just like it's 3,000 in rent, like at least. So it was pretty difficult to find that. And then my one friend that I live with, Pat, he was like, like my parents like reached out to me and us and like told us that we can just like live at their place for the time being. And I was like I've known his parents for a long time, and I'm like, okay. Like I was like a little hesitant about it because I
So,
know
so you were in Florida, like just visiting family because you
yeah,
live in DC, and then is that what was going on? And then you and your roommates were trying to find a place to live, and because of the
yeah,
quarantine, you were just like, all right, let's just go with my friend's parents'
yeah,
place.
yeah. I was just like, like because I went on vacation around like
hmm
the end of March, and then like our other roommate went on vacation like the middle of March, so like no one was on the same page, and like we were already toured houses, and when we were touring houses, like we looked for a 4-person house, or first we looked for a 5-person house,
Wow.
and then like one of our buddies dropped out, and we were like, oh man. So then we looked for a 4-person house, and then we were like an hour away from signing the lease. And then our one friend was like, like come Monday, I'm not gonna have a job, so I'm not gonna have any kind of income, so I can't sign this lease with you guys. And we
Smart.
were like, oh damn. And then it was down to me, Pat, and the other friend, James. And
Wow.
then that's when Pat was like, yeah, we're gonna have to move in with like my parents. And like I've known his parents for a long time, and I know they're really not strict, they're just stern, and like they're Christian and stuff like that. And I was like,
Did you just graduate college or something?
so I graduated in 2017.
Okay.
like in December. So I took like 4.5 years. And then like I graduated from the University of Delaware, and then I moved to Northern Virginia
Uh-huh.
because my best friend, like lives here, and he was like, yeah, you should come by and just like live with me. And I was like, cool. Like rent was cheap and everything, and I had the kind of job where I can just kind of go anywhere with it. So I decided to move here, and his family was here too, who've always like looked out for me and stuff.
Nice.
I just didn't know like I was going to be living with them like eventually, you know. But yeah, and then once we started living there, I'd say it was March 29th, and then April 1st, I went to go play basketball because I was like, I never really played basketball that much. I was just shooting around. I was like, I'm so bored. I'm just gonna go outside for a little bit.
Because at
And
this point
then,
we were in full lockdown, right? I'm pretty sure we were at full lockdown by the end of March.
yeah. So I mean, my hours were reduced at that point to maybe like 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, like, not really doing anything, like, and I can't do anything because everything's like locked down. So I'm just gonna go play basketball. And then 20 minutes later, like I'm shooting around and I just like twist the wrong way and like tear my meniscus. Like
Oh,
not like when people think meniscus tears, if people know anything about knees, you like tear your meniscus and then maybe you have to get surgery. And if you do get surgery, they kind of trim like part of it off that was torn.
wait, is
So
the
you're left.
meniscus, is that the part underneath your kneecap? Like, where is that on your knee?
Yeah, it's kind of underneath your kneecap. So like picture this is like your femur and
Mm-hmm.
then this is your tibia and then your knee is right in the middle of this. It's kind of like this like C-shaped thing, like a C shape this way,
Uh-huh.
and it like lays in between. It's like cartilage. So like
Oh.
if you have like a worn down meniscus, you could kind of feel like bones of your tibia touching your kneecap, or like I don't know.
Oh, I,
It's kind
I see what you're saying.
yeah. But I mean, like when you get surgery with it, some doctors will just trim off a little part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're left with like 80% of your meniscus. But the way my meniscus tore was like gruesome. So like picture this is it, and then like
Yeah.
if you look at it this way, it tore from like the inside out. Like
Oh.
so, it was like it's called like a bucket handle tear, because like when it tears, it like flips up a little bit. So I noticed like after it like happened, I was just like on the side of the basketball court, like this isn't good, this isn't good,
Like
and
you knew
I
instantly, you were like, this shit is mess. This is really bad.
yeah, because like I mean you've like twisted your ankle before, or maybe like twisted your knee before, and you're like, oh man, like I'm kind of limping, this isn't good, but then like you ice it, and then like you wake up the next day, and it's really not that bad.
1 second. I'll be damned if some ceiling fan noise fucks up my interview. But I mean, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like last summer, I broke my big toe, which is probably the biggest like bodily harm thing I've had happen to me, knock on wood.
Yeah,
And I knew instantly it was fucking broken. Like I was playing soccer. I got way too baked beforehand, which I never do before sports. And I
yeah.
went for the wrong ball, and this guy just smashed into my big toe like he was clearing the ball. And
Yeah.
I was on the ground instantly. I was like, oh my God, I know this shit's broken. Yeah. So I know what you're
Yeah.
saying. It's like you can just feel it.
You're like, am I gonna feel better in 48 hours? And like, instantly, I'm like, this is gonna take a lot longer. Uh,
Yeah.
and also, it helps to mention that I've torn my ACL before, like 5 years ago, when I was like 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'm like familiar with like an oh shit moment where I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna get better by itself. I'm gonna need to get surgery, like basically instantly. Like so, like I was on like the ground, like on the basketball court, and I was with Pat too, and I'm like, hey, dude, like you're gonna have to call like your mom or your sister to pick us up, because I mean we were like less than a quarter mile away from his house, but I was like, yo, I can't like walk right now.
Wow. Talk about
And
timing. Oof.
yeah, no, it was pretty bad. And then when I got home, everyone was kind of like on edge, like if I like was gonna need to go to like the urgent care or the hospital or
'Cause no one
anything.
wants to go to the hospital at that point. At the beginning of COVID,
No,
going to the hospital is like a death sentence.
yeah, no
At least it
way.
felt like it.
Yeah, no. And I was like I didn't want to go to the hospital because it turns out like that day, my boss called me from my job, and it turns out that day I worked there 3 months. So he calls me. He's like, "Hey, we're just like processing your health insurance. So you're kind of like you're covered right now. It doesn't go into effect until May 1st." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And like hung up and just tore my meniscus like an hour later.
Perfect timing.
Thank God he called me. Like, thank God I got that call, and thank God I was covered, because like I don't know where I'd be. Like, I know like a surgery costs like without insurance, I don't know, like $15,000 to $30,000 or something.
Like a semester of college or some crazy shit like that, man. I'm sure it's it's just nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, thank God I had insurance. But then when I was like on the couch, icing my knee, his mom was like, yeah, this is terrible, but at least we don't have to worry about you like sneaking out or anything, because I was on like tight watch, like quarantine watch. Like I couldn't leave. They didn't let me leave the house. So
I feel like this is like an understatement of the strictness of these parents. Like I feel like this is when it starts, because reading the thing you sent me, it seemed like it's almost like a movie moment where all of a sudden it gets serious out of nowhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I always knew they would take something like this serious, but like I know they're like helicopter parents, and Pat has told me in the past, but I didn't really know the true gravity of it until I was like treated like I was like one of their kids, and they were like looking out for me too, and I was like, oh man, because 2 days before that, I was like, hey, like I didn't really feel like I needed to ask, but I was like, can I go to a friend's house to watch a movie? And they were like no. And I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be one of those, like this is going to be like quarantine.
Did they give you a reason for not going because they were just like quarantine, or they were just like, nah?
Yeah, I mean, it's quarantine. I understand it too. They're like about to retire in like 5 or 6 years. So, I mean, if they contract it, like it's not going to be as easy to recover from as if one of us did.
Especially though, like, at that point, we thought just Corona would kill everyone over the age of 40.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then I was on the couch with my knee in pain, and I was like, oh man, like here it goes, basically. Like,
I mean, talk about perfect timing though. Like, you're like on you can't work literally because of Corona, and then you happen to tear your meniscus. So it's like a perfect time to injure yourself, but just not the perfect time to injure yourself with these crazy Nazi religious parents.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, as not mobile as I was, because like I couldn't really leave anywhere. Like I was totally not mobile anymore. And like, wow. I took like a week or two, I guess, and to like recover from it. Like if like I didn't get an MRI like right away because I didn't have coverage until May 1st. So I was kind of like in this like purgatory feeling where I was like, it could be torn. Like every day I woke up, I'm like, I have a torn ACL. And then like by night, I'd be like, maybe it's just like a sprain or something. So it was like pretty annoying just trying to like go back and forth just to like try and make myself feel better, So
you spent a whole month with the torn meniscus waiting for that insurance to kick in?
Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. That seems not right.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I was really careful with it. But when I tore my ACL like 5 years ago, I spent 3 months with a torn ACL, and the ACL is even worse. So,
oh fuck,
my right knee at this point is just totally banged up, and like I wish I could restart and like not did like when I tore my ACL 5 years ago. It's a pretty good story. I'll keep it short, but I was in a fraternity and I finally got in like after like all the hazing and everything, and I'm like, oh cool. Like, and we were doing this thing called air band, which is like you do like a synchronized dance like for all of Greek life, and you have to like coordinate it with music. And just being like one of the new members, they like had me in like the front doing like the dances, and I was like, yo guys, like I can do a backflip on the ground. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah. Like I could do like, those ninja people that like do like a backflip with their foot and they do like twists in the air.
Oh yeah.
Like I could do that. And then like I did 3 like on the concrete showing off in front of everybody, and everyone was like, I've never seen anything like that. And I was like, yeah. I'll do it again. And like I just got like too overconfident, and I did another one and I landed just like not right. And it was like, usually I do it on grass or turf, So if that would happen, I could just like fall on the ground. But I was so like fixated on landing it that I just like twisted my knee really bad, and it like everyone heard like my
Oh,
and like my friend that's had it happen to him before, who's like big into sports, is like, yeah, man, I think that's what happened when I'm like on the couch with like a bag of frozen peas on my knee.
this was like a big frat party you were at, like you and all the frat
Yeah,
bros, like the sorority
yeah,
was there too, and you're just like, "What's up?" We just got in, you're partying, and then you're just like, "Backflip, backflip, backflip." Tore my
yeah,
ACL. Oh my
yeah.
god.
And that's when I realized I'm just like, damn, like I can't be like showboat. Like it gave me just like, I was like, I need to slow down, you know, because I was drinking too, so I'm just like, god damn,
I mean, when you're
like,
drinking shit like that, always seems like a good idea. Did you live in like a traditional like big frat house with like 10 rooms and shit?
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
we called it. I went to University of Delaware, and it was like a little bit off campus. Every off campus housing there is basically on campus, so
Mhm.
everything's pretty close. But it was called the compound. It was like 151 West Main Street and 153 West Main Street. Like they shared a driveway, and they had about like 9 to 10 people living in each house. So you
Holy
had like
shit.
essentially you had like 19 roommates. Um,
The
and
houses
then
weren't connected. They were just really close to each other.
yeah, yeah. So you essentially had 19 roommates, and the we'd have parties like day parties like in the driveway, and like we'd block off the driveway with a car at the front, so no one could see what was going on. And it was like one of those scenarios where we were like practicing our dance and just inviting people over to drink like this keg, and yeah, I just like messed up my knee in front of basically everybody that I knew, and
Oh shit, dude. I can't believe you live with 10 roommates. That's insane. I mean, was the trade-off worth it? Like was being in that like the stereotypical frat that you see in movies? Because I went to a college where our frats and sororities were just like half-ass frats and sororities, where it was just they
yeah.
didn't have the big frat house and the big sorority house. It was just sort of like meh. But like
Yeah,
if I
no.
had something like that, I probably would have joined too, being a freshman. That shit sounds
Oh yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was really cool. I mean, living at that house, like my room right now that I just moved into is not that big. It's like 10 by 8. But yeah, no, the room I lived in one of the frat houses one year, it was like 10 by 7, and I paid 725 a month for it. And it was the cheapest room in both of the houses. And I was like, I don't know what I was thinking at the time, but I mean, what I was thinking at the time was like, this is awesome, and this is like the coolest place to
Yeah,
live.
right. What you think at the time is let's drink some keg and slam some puss, bro. That's what you're
Yeah,
thinking.
dude.
You're thinking
Yeah.
let's just have a good time.
Like the burners downstairs didn't work. Like I didn't cook or anything. I was just like buying shit on Main Street and stuff like that. But it was a good time. I spent one year in 151, and then half a year in 153 the next year when I was a senior, because after half a year I'm like, I can't take this shit anymore. I got to live in like an actual place. So like I took my buddy's spot in like his apartment that he lived in, which was great.
Nice.
Um, but my time at college was good. But back to the quarantine and my knee injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, after like 1 or 2 weeks of healing, I like went back to work a little bit. So I was like doing stuff where like I could like sit down and like, not like heavy lifting or anything.
Hmm.
And I wore this like soft brace on my knee, but I was just like still earning some money, but I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do right now. Like this is like terrible. And then my boss was getting kind of like weirded out of having someone like that's basically injured, like working, and like putting himself at risk for another injury. So
But
that
that's so
was.
weird. Restaurants were closed by this point, though. Like restaurants
Oh
were.
yeah, yeah. But it's like a beer and wine store in Falls Church.
Oh, oh,
It's
oh,
like a retail store on the bottom, but a restaurant up top. And I
oh. So
worked.
this was before like everything was really closed.
Yeah, yeah. So like we never closed down. We just closed down the restaurant, and we had
Mm,
like the beer and wine. We did like curbside pickup for it.
I see. I
And
see.
we like made an online store so people could like just purchase it without walking in.
Oh,
And
nice.
we got like a lot of traction. So a lot of us were able to keep some hours in like our jobs. So that was nice.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. You probably would have been better off collecting unemployment. Those checks were fat.
I know. Well, like the thing is, I was only working like 15 or 20 hours a week, and then I factored in like I claimed some unemployment when I like couldn't work those 2 weeks when I was healing, and like I like lied about how I was not injured, I guess. So I did get like 2 or 3 weeks of unemployment. Yeah, I got like $900.
Yeah,
I was
dude, shit
like,
was
damn.
insane. You're like, oh wow, I'm never working again. Fuck that.
Yeah, and then there was a week, where I got unemployment after working like 15 hours. I'm like, damn, yo, like I made a cool 1100 this week. That's nice.
But
But
didn't you say that while you were sick that the parents were so strict they didn't let you take any pain medication?
yeah, well, like fast forward like to May 1st, I got the MRI, and then like, a couple days later, yeah, you have a torn meniscus. And
Uh,
I'm like, damn. And they're like, it's like a bucket handle, like it's torn. Like you need surgery. Because I noticed I couldn't straighten my leg. So I needed surgery. And then the doctor that was talking to me about surgery was like, they couldn't like cut a little part of it off. They had to like sew the whole thing back together, which
oh,
means like my time to get back, like my time interval was like pushed back by like months. Um, so eventually I was kind of nervous, like I went in and got surgery, and then I came out, and then they had to do, I mean, they only told me this after my 2 week evaluation. They had to do a lot of surgery. Like they had to drill like extra holes in my knee and to get to like certain parts of it.
oh,
So when I was like out of surgery, like I woke up from the anesthesia, and like I was still like heavily under the influence of anesthesia. But I felt pain in my knee. It wasn't like pain free. It was like a very, very dull pain, but I could tell the anesthesia was doing its job still. And like I got back, and then basically they put you in like an immobilizer, and you can't bend it for like a week or two.
oh wow.
So I was just like, they set me up like on the couch, and I was just laying on the couch like for days. And then finally, like I moved downstairs, and like I was taking my pain medication, but it said every 4 hours, and I was taking it like every 8 hours, because I know like people get addicted to that shit, and like
Yeah.
I didn't want to really mess around with it, but I was in pain, and I couldn't take Advil because I was still like, my wound was healing, so I couldn't really take like that good anti-inflammatory stuff. But I was taking it like as I needed, or as I thought I needed, but apparently to some people, like I don't need that stuff. Like I don't know. Well, like
So they were like they were straight up like, yo, give me your medication that you paid for.
yeah, eventually. I mean, it was so like the daughter had hip surgery, and like they claim like, yeah, she only took one, and I was like, all right, well, like I don't have like the balls to like stand up to them, and because like, like I'm living under their house, like their rules, like I'm not paying rent. It was very
Sticky
nice,
situation, yeah.
there, so I couldn't be like, well, I'm not your daughter, and I'm fucking hurting right now. So like I couldn't say that, but I was like, yeah, they're like, she only took one, and like I noticed like they only gave me 20, so I took like basically two a day for like 5 days, and then or man, no, maybe like 7 days, so I had like 14. So I had six left, and then I like woke up really late one day, like 11:30 or 12, and they asked me like what was going on, and I told them I couldn't sleep last night, so I took one of the pills I had, and they were like, well, you're not supposed to be taking that if you can't sleep, like that's not going to help you sleep. Like you're only supposed to take it if you're in pain. And I was like, well, I was in pain. And they're like, well, like that's not what you said. And they were just like, I just don't think it's a good idea for you to have them. And like
They just
meanwhile,
start thinking you're waking up to pop a perky.
yeah, I mean, kind of. And like, meanwhile, I have like five left. And, I haven't even started to go to like physical therapy or started like testing how much it actually can hurt. So like, I'm still like crutching around at this point. And they're like, well, like, I think it's best if you just hand them over to us, like now. And I'm like,
What the
all
hell?
right, well, I mean,
What did they think you
that's,
were gonna like take like five perkies and then start stealing from them to get more? Like what
yeah.
the
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I was just like, okay. Just grabbed him from like downstairs and like put him on the counter. And then I was like, I hadn't left the house in like 4 days, like physically. So like I got up to just like take a walk around in like my big ass knee brace, and I was like crutching just like around the block. And then like Pat came home. He like drove by me on his motorcycle on his way home and stopped and was like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Like, it was weird for her, like him seeing me outside of the house. And he's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, your parents took away my pain pills." So he was so pissed, but like we were in a position where like he like didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
Like, he just thought it was super wrong. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like, I'll be okay, but like, it's kind of just annoying. Like,
It's so crazy. I mean, I'm surprised they let him drive a motorcycle if they're so protective. Jesus.
yeah, it wasn't so much of like letting him drive a motorcycle. I mean, he's like 26 now, so they're kind of like,
Oh yeah.
he'll do what he's gonna do. Like, I think that's like him having parents like that is like the reason he does some of those things. You know, they're so like.
So what happened after they took away the perkies? Does it get worse than that?
Yeah, I mean, it gets like gradually worse. Like every like week or so that goes by where I'm like trying to dig myself out of this like depression ditch and trying to make myself feel better, like something terrible happens.
Really?
So, I mean, after that whole incident, you know, I started going to like PT and stuff, and my knee was kind of getting on the right track. And then they left. They went on vacation. So Pat and I had the house for ourselves for a week, which was really nice. And we were like drinking, inviting like small amounts of people over every now and then. And then I noticed like my stomach started hurting pretty bad when like I noticed they were about to come back. Like the day before they came back, my stomach started hurting. And then when they were back, it was still hurting. And this went on for like 4 days. So I went to not the emergency room. I went to an urgent care.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, my stomach doesn't hurt for more than like a couple hours, and this is kind of like worrisome. So I went to an urgent care, and this like doctor with like basically a hazmat suit on with like the big plastic covering
It's
and like
scary to see, man.
this like little like hose out the front that's like making his voice sound like a robot is like helping me out and like giving me like anti-inflammatories like when I just get admitted. And then they run a blood test on me, and it turns out I have like a lot of lipase in my blood, which is like a digestive enzyme that the pancreas releases. So like initially I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And he's like, like, 'cause it hurt like in like a certain part of my stomach where my pancreas is. And he's like, yeah, you have pancreatitis. And I'm like, what? Like, he's like, you know, like, your pancreas is just like working really hard and excreting a lot of this digestive enzyme. So, yeah, you have pancreatitis. It's like instantly, like I look it up and it's like, if you drink alcohol for like 20 years, like a pint of whiskey for like 20 years for every day, like you'll get pancreatitis, and it's like a life-threatening disease and shit like that. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
how'd you get the pancreatitis? Did I miss that? How'd you even get that?
No. Well, I mean, I got misdiagnosed.
The
The shittiest part about it, because like they were giving me anti-inflammatories for my inflamed pancreas, and I had to go on like a liquid diet for 2 days, and I'm just like, so I feel like weak as hell. Your
knees hurt. Oh my God.
I'm like losing, like I'm like 140, 145. I'm like losing pounds by the day. And I'm just like, God damn, like I'm like a shell of myself. And then like a couple days go by after the liquid diet, and I'm eating like really bland food with like no flavor, and it's still hurting. And I'm just like, God damn, like what is wrong? Like what is going on? And I had an appointment with like an actual stomach doctor. And he was just like so not concerned with all the trouble I was having. And I'm like, that's comforting. But he was just like, he just thought it was like a stomach ulcer. So he's like, he gave me some like, it was basically over the counter heartburn medication, and was like, yeah, here you go. Take some of this and just stop taking anti-inflammatories. And I'm like, okay. And it turns out like the whole time I just had a stomach ulcer. Ooh. because I was having like heartburn, I guess, like really bad heartburn. So I had a stomach ulcer, and like me going on that liquid diet and like me not eating as much, was like making my stomach really just like clear and clean. And then all the anti-inflammatories were going in and just like aggravating the shit out of like that ulcer and just making it.
Oh, yeah, I can
Like,
imagine. It's like those all those chemicals and shit in a clean stomach. It's just it
yeah.
just tear your stomach up.
And like usually like I was taking the anti-inflammatories, like usually you're instructed to like eat something with them. Like you're growing up, your parents, like if you hurt like and you're taking Advil, they're
Yeah,
like,
you
yeah,
always take food with your
I'll
medication.
make you some toast or like whatever. But I wasn't doing that. Like I was just taking the medication with nothing in my stomach, and it just like I just like fucked myself up even worse. And I was like,
What causes the ulcer? What caused like do you know what causes the ulcer? Like what causes stomach
um,
ulcers?
I don't know. It was never like the cause was never found out. But I'd like to say like when his parents left, we were eating like less healthy because they weren't cooking,
Mm-hmm.
and so we got like takeout a couple times over the week. But I think it was just stress, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like I think I knew like basically the quarantine was not close to over. We had no place lined up like where we could move into, and I just like had no idea when everything was going to be over with. So
Dude,
I think
thinking about it, you were fucking stressed. Yeah, like you said, like quarantine, no place. You're at your friend's place. Like
yeah,
you're hurting on two levels. Like
yeah,
it's like a
yeah.
lot is wrong at this point in time. Like you're feeling like the world
Yeah.
fucking hates me right now.
Yeah, yeah. And like I always try and like make myself feel better. I'm like, this isn't like things aren't like specifically happening to me and making my life worse. Like these are all just coincidences happening at the same time, and like I'll get better from this. But yeah,
Good
I mean,
mindset. That's a positive mindset right there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to be. I try to be, you know. But I like living with his parents. I'm just like, it's hard to explain. Like he's my best friend, so we talk about everything. But it's hard to explain to him, and like get him to understand that, like, you imagine you living with like people that aren't your parents for 2 months. Like you feel like you're walking on eggshells a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you know the feeling, and
What would you have done? What would you have done if they didn't let you stay there?
That's a good question. You know, like I really don't know.
Would you have moved back home?
I guess like I mean I'm from New York, so
Oh, yeah, you
like,
definitely weren't moving there.
yeah, that makes the situation even more difficult because that's when it was like spiking really, like coronavirus is spiking extremely hard in New York, and I don't really, I guess I would have moved home, but the thing is like why I'm in this situation I am in right now. I mean it's a good situation. I finally moved out and everything, but my mom lives in like a halfway home, and she has for years, but I'm like she's doing really well right now, but I couldn't have stayed with her. And then like my dad lives in this like 1-bedroom place in New Jersey. Like I guess I could have stayed with him, but he's on disability, so he doesn't even like do anything or move around that much. And like I'm not sure if he'd be able to take care of me like at that point. So
Oh wow, yeah, that was literally your best option. Like there kind of was no going home for you. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
oh yeah, no, it's fine. But I mean, there was never any going home option for me, like especially in college. Like I lived in University of Delaware, like in the winter and the summer. Like I never really moved out to go back home or anything. I just figured I'd stay there because like I don't know,
Better than being home.
Like
yeah, it's so crazy. Yeah, it's one thing you can't choose in life is your parents.
yeah, I mean, if anything, what I've learned like from their mistakes is that like people can try and like emulate their parents, you know, and try and do things and like follow in their footsteps. And then like one of my old baseball coaches who was like really close with me told me that like some people just do the opposite. And I think you should do the opposite. Just try and focus and like not be like them, like, you know? And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like try and not follow in their footsteps and try and just kind of do things my own way.
Your baseball coach told you that?
Yeah. When I was like 13.
What an awesome dude. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The fact that, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of crazy that even he saw it and was like, hey kid, you know, like that's what coaches are for. Like that's that real coach shit right there. Is to like be like, yo kid,
yeah.
like
yeah, no, my coaches have provided me like a lot of guidance throughout the years, you know, like I had this really good dive coach. I started diving when I was a sophomore in high school, you know, like off the springboard, like doing flips and stuff. That's why I can do backflips on the ground because that's what I was into. And then my coach was like, you know, like he sat down with me like right when I started and I wasn't good at all. And he's like, do you think this is something that you can like try at and like get into college because of this? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. Like he just coached me along that guideline for 2 years. Like I only dove for 2 years in high school, or like 2.5. And then I got a diving scholarship at Delaware. So
Holy shit, full scholarship?
no.
But,
It was
but
like,
you got some money.
yeah, it was like 1/20th of a scholarship maybe, but I mean,
Something.
it helped. It helped. But yeah, so okay, the meniscus surgery, the me not being able to leave the house, them taking away the pills, me getting a stomach ulcer. I forget what else was so terrible. I've tried to block it out of my memory, but I mean, I know there was something else that was really terrible that happened. Oh yeah.
You said you were super close to getting into an accident right after that.
Oh yeah. I was driving to physical therapy one day with my car, and then I like pulled back onto the road that they live on, like the street, and it was kind of like a downhill slope. And like right when I pulled onto the street, like my brake light came on, like on the inside of the car. It said like brake in all red, and I'm like, oh, maybe I need to get my brakes serviced. And I'm like rolling down the hill, and I'm like, I can't brake right now. Like I hear like metal grinding on metal, and it's like barely slowing me down. So I'm going like 15 or 20 miles an hour down the street, and I'm like barely able to stop. So I'm just like rolling like up to their house.
Oh
And,
my
like,
God. That is like everyone's worst fucking nightmare is your brakes
Yeah.
literally don't work.
Yeah, I'm just like, what happened? Like, you know, because I got my car serviced like before the thing started, and then I just didn't drive it because I couldn't drive it with my knee, and then like it sitting there almost made it like broken, or I don't even know what happened, but I like rolled like barely past their house, and I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna park it right here, and this thing is not gonna get touched again. And I like told his parents what happened, and I had to call the tow company to come get it towed. And I was just like, no car, like no knee, like no stomach, like I'm a broken man. I like
Shouldn't be
I
laughing.
can't
I'm
leave.
sorry, man, but this is the most unlucky thing I've ever
I was
heard.
like, I can't leave, and also like I can't even think about leaving because I don't have my car. But yeah, I'm just like, what else? I was like, smite me, God, like whatever, whatever you have left, give it to me right now.
Because it costs money to get your car towed and then get your car fixed. Like that's just
Yeah.
the whole expense you never want to have. It's stupid expensive.
Thankfully, though, his parents offered to pay for like my car to get towed.
Oh, no way.
Basically, just like get it out of there. Yeah, they've been like really helpful with like financial stuff. Like at first, like they thought I needed some, like they weren't sure of my financial situation. They thought I needed some money. So they gave me like a couple $100 initially.
That's awesome.
And then I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to take any more money anymore. Like, I have enough saved up to where like I'm gonna be okay. But no, yeah, as much as I want to like bash them and stuff, like they're nothing like my parents. You know, like they're extremely supportive and like treated me like their own, and they still continue like to text me and everything. Like that I moved into my new place.
Seems like it came from a good place with them. It's just that sometimes shit can get too far. Sometimes it's like sometimes people take things too far, and they tend to be religious people for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, those two things just go together, I guess.
Like they read the wrong verse that morning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And then I guess the last shitty thing that happened to me was that like a week or two after like the car mishaps, like my dad called me and told me like the dog like I grew up with, basically, he's like 8 or 9 right now, was like bleeding like from its nose. And he was like, yeah, I have it everywhere. You know, it's like all over my coat, like all over my pants. And like, I really don't know like what's going on with him. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I think my dog's about to die. Like, I think he's going to have to.
Holy shit.
And I'm just like, all this is like going on in my head. And I'm just like, God damn. So like, I just like called my brother and like vented to him and talked to him for an hour and like made me feel a little better. But my dog is still alive. Thank God.
Oh, the dog survived.
Yeah. I don't know. He might have some kind of like upper respiratory infection. He has like some tumors, but last time I checked, he's still not doing like that well.
Yeah, that pretty much signals the start of the end.
Yeah. It is shitty to think about, but my dad does not live like a healthy lifestyle, I'd say. And like I guess the
The
dog can
dog doesn't
come to
either.
that. Like
Yeah.
he just like feeds him snacks and stuff like that.
Dude, I swear dogs are a direct reflection of the owner. Like
Oh yeah.
100%. Like if the dog is out of shape, I guarantee the owner's out of shape. If the dog is unkempt, the owner's unkempt. Like
Yeah.
they literally have like formed some symbiotic relationship where the dog mirrors the owner. It's just so
Yes.
nuts.
Well, there's that, and there's also sometimes where like you'll see people walking their dog, and you're like, wow, that person looks like their dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like you see like a poodle, like a white
Right?
poodle, and like some old like lady with like curly white hairs walking it. You're like, oh my god, that's so funny.
Is it the fact that we just try to find the similarities, or that people just they just start to morph into each other? Like, is that what it is? Because I swear to God, every dog and every owner, you can tell that they look alike.
They just start morphing into each other over a year, I'd say.
It's so crazy,
Yeah.
dude. So, but was that the end of all this crazy stuff? Like the series of misfortunate events for Brian Green? Was that the last of it? The dog
I
almost dying?
I think so. I think so. Thank God someone showed me mercy. But I mean, I think as of right now, like my car is still at that shop, and my buddy told me like recently, hey man, this is gonna be over like $600 of work, and my car was 1,700 that
So
I got
you're
it
not
for.
getting that car back.
No, so I mean, that'll be like the last shitty thing that'll happen to me is I'll have to buy another car
Lost
and
your
like
car.
complete my savings. But I mean, I'm on track with my knee to get back to work in August. So, I mean, I think, yeah, I think I'm through it at this point. Yeah,
Holy
that
shit, man.
was
Through
the last.
fire and flames with Brian Green. Dude, that might be the title of the video, dude. Like, holy shit, man. I don't know if many people had it worse than you during quarantine. Like, maybe someone who, like, lost a family member
Yeah,
or, like, lost a family member and their business because of COVID. But, like,
yeah,
for an individual basis, as far as I know, you have definitely had it the worst. Like,
yeah. And like I was like thinking it like I was kind of like in my mind thinking about like, okay, someone else has to have it worse. Like somebody else always has it worse, and like that's what kind of got me through it. Was
sometimes
like
it's you.
Yeah. Well,
Sometimes it's you.
yeah. Just thinking about people that have like lost loved ones to COVID, or people that have lost their job and then they contract COVID and then they're sick, like deathly sick. And then like people that had to go to the hospital, like I had to go to, that didn't have insurance. Like those people, man, like they really have it bad.
Dude, how the
Uh,
fuck did you keep it all together, man? Like, how did you maintain enough composure to end up on a Craigslist talent section and hitting someone to be on a podcast? Like, how did you?
I don't know, man. Like I've worked my whole life, like ever since I was 14. I've had jobs like doing this, doing that, and after not working, like I was hurt, and after not working for more than 2 weeks, it kind of just like threw me out of like the zone I was in. Like I was just I'm about working like a lot and like saving
Mhm.
money and like doing what I have to do to get by. So like not being able to work was like really just making me feel like not a regular person anymore.
Mm.
I felt so like useless. So for like about a week or like weeks, I was like depressed as hell, and like I just like didn't want to do anything, like didn't want to get out of bed, and you know how it goes when people get depressed, and like I just started noticing it, like it. I was like, I'm the kind of person that can kind of combat depression and anxiety by like lifestyle choices. And I believe in public health approaches, definitely.
Hmm.
But I didn't even notice it until my friend Pat was like, dude, I think you're just depressed. Like, because like,
Slowly, just like seeped in there, but with
yeah,
everything going on.
I was like, my knees hurt. I can't do this. My stomach's hurt. I can't do this. I'm just going to sit here. And like, that's when I decided, like, after like a couple weeks of that, I'm like, I need to get my ass up and like get a customer service job, like get some kind of remote work job. Like, and then I took a course on contact tracing, like through Johns Hopkins, like a 5-hour free online course. And then I used that on my resume to like look for contact tracing jobs. And
What is
that like,
contact tracing?
that's like when you when someone contracts
Hmm.
COVID-19, like you basically call them and tell them like the precautions they have to take, like whether they have to like quarantine themselves, or like completely isolate themselves, and then they tell you everyone they've been in contact with, and you
Oh,
have to like
wow.
call them and tell them like, hey, so and so has COVID, you need to quarantine, like you need to do this, and just basically know about the disease like in and out.
I didn't know people were doing that. It kind of scares me now. Now I'm scared of all the missed calls I've gotten. Now I'm scared of missing a call. Someone's going to tell me that my 4th of July party, someone had COVID there.
I'm sure you're fine. I mean, if you can't taste or smell anything, I'd get worried, but
Yeah.
that's like the first sign. But yeah, I didn't even get I couldn't even get a contact tracing job. No one replied, so I was like,
Wow.
let me just go on Craigslist and see what's going on there. And then I just like poured my heart out into a couple like talent ads, and then here I am. So
Dude, that's so crazy, man. Dude, I'm so glad that to hear you're an optimist, but like I can see where it comes from. You know, it's like coming from this family
yeah,
where it's like your parents aren't necessarily role models.
yeah,
It may honestly like, you know, I'm kind of envious. Like I come from, you know, I've got great supportive parent
yeah,
and
yeah.
like I've always admired people who deal with more adversity than me, like you,
Mhm.
because it makes you a tougher, a harder person. Like, dude, you're like what 24 or some shit.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you went through all of that and had to do all those calls yourself, all that stuff yourself, all that grown up ass shit. Like, dude, that makes you like a smarter and like a more driven person at such a younger age. Where a normal
Yeah.
kid your age would have, their parents would have done all that shit for them.
Yeah, so when I was growing up in New York, like my parents, like the house I grew up in, my parents had it built. Like they built it. Or I mean they designed it. So like I was very wealthy as a kid. Like my dad was making over 6 figures like easy. And then my mom was working like 30 hours a week because she's a florist. So I had a lot of money growing up, and I lived on this big house on top of this hill, and like all my neighbors knew that like we were like the top dogs of the neighborhood, as weird and like boastful as that sounds. But
Yeah.
I mean, I was a spoiled little kid like when I was growing up. Like anything I wanted, usually give it like a week or two, like I got it. And I'm just thankful that like when I look at myself now, like I'm thinking that like all like that shit that my family went through, like my parents got divorced, like they lost their jobs, like drug addictions, alcohol addiction, all that stuff.
Wow.
I don't think I'd want that. Like, I don't think I'd want it any other way. It just like shaped me to the person I am today, like having to deal with all that adversity and just like all that shit that happened, and like me having to grow up basically by myself. Like when I was 17, my mom had to go to rehab, and I lived like I went to high school and like lived in our house that was like I was about to get evicted,
Whoa.
and like I just lived there by myself with my dog. And then like the month I was about to get evicted, I went to college. So I just left.
So you're telling
And
me your
then
mom is in rehab and you're living in a home by yourself, putting yourself in high school,
yeah,
feeding yourself with that dog?
yeah, for like the last month of school, senior year, and then
Holy
the two
shit.
month and then the 2 months of summer. So like my mom had like an EBT card, and I was going to the store and like getting myself food, which was nice because I didn't have to pay for that. But and then I worked where did I work? I don't know. I think I worked at a pizza store or something, and I was like supporting myself with that, with the money I had from that. But then like I went to college, and I left all that shit behind and just kind of never came back. So
Huh. College, in a sense, was like a way out.
yeah, yeah, that's why I wanted to go to like this like University of Delaware. Like I knew I had a spot on the diving team. I didn't give a shit like how expensive it was. Like a couple of my friends from high school were going there, and I was gonna have like the time of my life basically. Like I did take out a lot in loans that I'm still paying for, but that's manageable. So I don't think I'd want to grow up a spoiled rich kid into my 20s. So
Mm.
I'm not gonna say I'm glad my parents fucked up, but I am kind of glad. And I'm not gonna say that like I should have went to a cheaper school because I'm paying for it right now, because I wouldn't trade those experiences for anything. So a
I
bunch of
mean,
shit.
I don't think everyone should have shitty parents, but I think there's a difference between living a spoiled life versus living like being taught different lessons, you know? Like
Yeah.
I think
Mhm.
everyone deserves to have loving parents, but it just sucks when those lessons have to come from having shitty parents. And I've dealt with that myself as well, of one of my
Yeah.
parents turning out to be a really shitty parent. which completely rocked my life. It didn't happen when I was younger. It happened in my early 20s, but like, it's so nuts. Like what do you think you would have done if college wasn't an option?
I mean, that's like I have an older brother and college wasn't an option for him. He kind of took the whole brunt of like what was bad like happening with the family. Like he took the whole brunt of that like to himself. So he found it like he went to community college. Like I'm not gonna say it's not a real college, but like he went there for 2 years and he worked like 70 hours a week at the pizza shop. So like that's what he had to do because he thought college wasn't an option. And like college shouldn't have been an option for me either. Now when I think about it, because he did the smart thing, like he has no debt, and he got a job like as a corrections officer, like after he was done with school, because he took a test like while he was in school, and he was like a criminal justice major.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like I'd have to stay in my hometown and work a lot and just be like depressed as hell. Like my brother went through a lot of shit, like staying at home like that while I was at college, like partying my ass off. And
that weighs on your mental, especially like being from a I don't know if it's a small town or just like a suburban town, and you're still in that town going to community college, which feels like a half fail. Like it's good, but it still feels like a fail. And you're working at a pizza shop. Like, just no offense to your brother, but like that setup can like really poison your mind.
Yeah. It was really tough for him because, well, he did the same kind of thing that I did. Like when our family, like my mom started like having a lot of problems, like he moved out when he was 17 and he left me there like with her when I was 15.
Wow.
So we both did that kind of thing, but it turns out like I went to school and he didn't. So I mean, I don't think I'd want to do it any other way. I think I would still just take out loans and like basically escape and just try to go to school.
What'd you end up going to college for?
Public policy, and I have a minor in journalism.
So why aren't you doing that?
Good question. I don't really know. I mean, I've never been enamored with like politics or anything. So, I was supposed to be a communications major at college, but in Delaware, you need to take 2 years of courses to get into the major. And then I took 2 years of courses, and one of the classes that like was like a prereq for the communications major, I didn't do well in because I was pledging a fraternity, and like I didn't show up to a lot of the classes. So I fell short of the mark for the communications major. And I was like in with my advisor, like about to start junior year of college, and I don't have the major I wanted. And I was like, what do I do? And she's like, well, I guess what you have to do is be a policy major. I was like, really? She's like, you could be an English major, but you would have to take 5 years. And then if you're a policy major and a journalism minor, like those communication interest classes you had carry over to your journalism minor. And then you just need to take like 6 different courses to fulfill your public policy major, which is doable in 2 years. So I was like, I guess I'll just do that. And that's what I had to do. And it kind of sucked because I was in courses like talking about policies and politics. I mean, it was interesting because it was the 2016 election during some of that time. But when it was all said and done, I had no interest in working for like any kind of federal government, like going to, like, it just so happens I live in DC. I mean, it's not like I would ever want to work.
I would live in the most political town you could for something you did.
Yeah, no, like every time someone asks like what my major is, like when I'm like working like at a restaurant or whatever, or just like people's parents, I'm like, yeah, public policy. Like, oh wow, like you're in a great place for that. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but like I don't want to do that. So I've just been like,
I mean, just thinking about it, it kind of seems like college was like the way out from your current situation, and the fraternity was essentially like a brotherhood, a family aspect, something that I think it sounds like you really wanted. Like something that like, it's like, yes, like a way out and in a support system. Like that seemed like I would have done the exact same thing in that situation.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad you view that as that, because I mean, with like older people, like parental figures in my life, they view it as like me just like ignoring responsibilities and shit like that by joining a fraternity. But I mean, the way I looked at it was like, it was kind of a no brainer. Like I got like recruited, like they wanted me in, like I got in, like there was like some kind of process you go through, like deliberations and stuff. And like, it's basically like stand up, like interviews, and they ask you questions, like see how funny you are, see how good you are with like talking with people, talking to girls. And like, I was just in like instantly, like I had to do all that stuff, honestly, like obviously, but they were just all accepted me like immediately. Like all of a sudden I had like 80 new friends.
That's so sick. I mean, I think that goes so understated with a fraternity and a brotherhood. People are so quickly to be like to damn it and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of drunk assholes, dummies and stuff. But it really, people don't think about the bright side. It's like, it really gives you a system of people that like support you and are really have your back for life. And like, especially as for being, going past 18 and you really go out into the world by yourself. It's like, it's really good for some people, especially for people like yourself, but it also makes me wonder, why didn't you just join the military?
I thought about that, dude. I don't know why. Like I've played like, this has nothing to do with joining the military. I mean, maybe it does in your mind, but I played like Call of Duty, and I still play like shooting games, and I have like my whole life. And I've always thought about it because, like I wouldn't have any debt, or like the debt I have would kind of just be cleared. I would get a decent amount
for your school. Yeah.
Yeah. I would have gotten a decent amount of money that I could like send back to wherever I need to send it back. I would have no bills or anything. And I would fight for my country, and I would get in really good shape probably from doing it too. I just never saw it as an option because I guess that's like that's my plan C. If my other plans were to fall through. But yeah, I thought about that. Yeah.
It's like the military would have been like the next step if you didn't get that scholarship. Probably it'd been like, fuck it, I'm just gonna join the military. You probably would have found that brotherhood there, because it's like, why not do this for a few years, get out, get free medical the rest of my life. I get free money every month, and they pay for my college. I'm not gonna lie, like being older now, like I'm 29. Looking back, my dad was in the military, and he really wanted me to join the army. And I was just like a weed smoking hippie back in the day playing music. I was like, yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
I went to college and I got a degree that I don't fucking use. I guess maybe a little bit, but like I don't do that. I use the skills, but I don't use it for that field that I'm in. And like thinking about it now, I low key wish I would have maybe joined the military, because I was like, damn, like the way it sets you up afterwards is a total hack. Like I spent 4 years putting myself in debt in college and all this shit. I probably didn't have as good of an experience as you did in college. I was like, man, I wish I kind of just would have like joined for the military for it's like 2 years, right? You only have to do like 2 years and you get a bunch of free shit. I'm like, maybe that was the move. Like maybe that was the right move. All I had to do was shave my head. Like, God damn.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like when I was going back for my sophomore year of college, I was like, I had like surgically repaired ACL, so I couldn't really move any of my shit into my new apartment. I had no job like lined up. I had to take less credits than I usually took because of how much physical therapy I needed to do. And like at that point, I was like, this is going to be impossible. Like, like I don't know what I'm going to be able to do like sophomore year of college. Like I had to just like sell drugs to get by, basically.
You
like,
did?
It was terrible. Yeah. But yeah. But thinking about it, like if I just joined instead of doing that, if I just joined the military, like right now when I'm 24, probably would have been a little better off, but wouldn't have all those years of like experiences and good times.
Dude, fuck it, man. You're not a person unless you've sold drugs at some point. I sold weed for a whole summer once.
Yeah. I'm also not sure what I'm allowed to say on this. I'm guessing like anything, right?
Dude, yeah, we can say anything we want, dude. Yeah. That's the whole point of podcasts, is that I don't have to think about what I can say or not say. Like that's the beauty of podcasts, is it's still the Wild West. It's not radio yet. It's going to be the new radio. But even then, no one wants podcasting to have rules and regulations. And people are trying to have like syndications where it's like a syndication essentially would be like a news channel where there's shows under that news channel. But I'm like, fuck that, dude. Like, I like how people are approaching it, and how Joe Rogan's choosing to like not you know, I don't know if you know what's going on there, but he's leaving YouTube in December, right?
He's
And he's
joining
Spotify.
Oh yeah.
He got a $100 million licensing deal with Spotify. Do you know what that means? That means that he still owns everything. They're just paying to use his content. He got a $100 million deal to go exclusively on Spotify. He can still post the clips on YouTube, but now he can actually do whatever the fuck he wants on Spotify, because with YouTube, and which is something that I'm getting really more and more into, is there's a lot of rules and regulations and things you can't even say, especially when you have a platform like his. Like, like even his interviews, he couldn't show certain things. He couldn't play certain sounds without the risk of getting like his video not just demonetized, but
like copyright, right?
Yeah, copyright, where he couldn't even show the video. He could have an amazing interview that could probably change someone's life, but if he played a 10-second clip of a Rolling Stone song, Rolling Stone shuts that shit down. And so that's why he's going over to Spotify. It's like it's a push to not only have more freedom with his show, but to also you're pushing podcasting forward, because now in content before, because Spotify is going to start a video platform, like, and they're going to start it with Joe Rogan, and like it's going to be the first and probably only competitor to YouTube. And the problem with YouTube is how much censorship is going on the platform.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that with like with YouTube, and I don't know, like I watch a lot of like Twitch streamers too, because like I'm like really into video games, and I stream a little bit myself. So yeah, with Joe Rogan like getting paid by Spotify, you have like people like Ninja and like Shroud and Dr. Disrespect too. I don't know.
No one knows with Disrespect. No one knows what's happened with him yet.
I've been looking at it. Like one day I spent like an hour trying to figure it out, and I don't know what happened, but yeah, no, these people like the same way with YouTube, like Twitch is hard. Like people, like all these sexual allegations that are coming out with people like Twitch streamers too. That's not good. That's happening right now. But also Twitch has like,
you're talking about the one house, and the guy had the allegations. You're talking about the what is it? Something. Dude, I'm deep in Twitch too. I can talk this shit with you, dude. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I just know that there's like this whole community of people that have been like, that just got caught for having like sexual encounters with like minors, like specifically like Super Smash players too.
Oh,
like
it was the Hype Williams.
Yeah.
So apparently, I don't know the full details. Apparently, he owned a couple houses, and he would just let these like runaway gamers and kids just live at the houses. Which seems like a good idea, but in the world of cancel culture and all these fucking SJWs, like that doesn't look good, especially with the slightest amount of negative spin. It's like, I bet he was trying to do good, but of course, if you have 16-year-olds living with 18, 20, 21-year-olds, someone's gonna fuck. Someone's gonna fuck someone. Like, and it all of a sudden becomes his problem. It's like,
that is rough. I mean, hopefully, I was just reading things about like Super Smash players, like specifically, because like those are the kind of people that, you know, they like go to tournaments and stuff like that, and like that whole community like know each other really well. And then I was reading the story about, you know, I don't remember like their names specifically, but you know, like a 14-year-old guy looking up to like a 24-year-old guy that's like a really popular player, and then like end up like going to tournaments, and then like end up like hanging out with him afterwards, and then like, you know, one thing leads to another, and like they're like giving each other hand jobs and stuff. And I'm just like reading about that, and I'm just like, oh my God, like a misguided like 14-year-old not knowing any better, just having like first sexual encounters.
Is that what happened with that one guy? It's like the guy with short hair and glasses.
Right? I think so.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the story that came out with him?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Now that's, you know, I can't even, I wouldn't, I'm not trying to defend anyone. I'm just saying things, but like, I can't find the good in that one, especially if that's the story. It's like, dude, like, weird. But Twitch itself is becoming a weird platform, because the people who run Twitch are a bunch of just like really, like, it seems like a bunch of incels are like the Twitch moderators, because they'll let all these e-girls get away with shit. But then if one guy streamer does the slightest thing, or like someone on his stream says the N-word that he had no control over, he gets banned for like 20 days. And it's like, dude, you just took away someone's livelihood for 20 days. Like, that's not
Yeah.
cool, dude. Like,
Yeah, and I was trying to read up on like the reasons that Dr. Disrespect got banned. Like we all know he got banned like for streaming, like doing like an IRL stream and like going into a bathroom. And I could see why you could get banned for that. Like that's like an invasion of privacy. But then they were saying like,
but that,
like don't be surprised if his ban has to do with like back in 2017 when he made his player model some kind of like white supremacy figure that was like very not clearly defined, and then like how he's like very very like male gamer oriented, like trash talking.
he's toxic masculinity.
Yeah, but that's his like character.
It's
And
so
that's
fucked up that it's like he probably made like some like KKK character like for fun in 2017 when that wasn't as big of a deal of a joke to make. And then I bet I honestly, this is my guess. Someone like exposed the clip and then they scrubbed it from Twitch really fast. And then then Twitch moderators were like, come on, guy, if this got out, we'd have to do something. And then he's like, all right, let me just take this ban. But it's like people are getting canceled left and right for shit they did years ago. Like, look at Shane Dawson. I don't know if you saw that. I don't know.
I've seen his thumbnails on like a bunch of videos, but I just haven't clicked on it. Is he in deep shit?
Oh, dude, you want to talk about getting canceled? This guy got viciously canceled. Like I guess, and he's a gay dude, right? He made like pedophile jokes like back in the day, like 10 years ago, and he's getting canceled for it now. Like he made some like inappropriate jokes about like Willow Smith, like jerking off to like the poster at a movie, like, oh, Willow. Like I didn't see the whole clip, right? But like I bet at that time it was funny as hell. I bet it was hilarious. But you clip out the beginning, then you play it now. It's like cancel him. Cancel Shane. It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like this dude who's brought in so much joy to people and has built this thing himself. You're just going to like, YouTube actually took away all of his shit. He doesn't even have a channel.
Really?
He doesn't, all three of his multi-million subscribed channels are all gone. So they just took away how he makes money. His brand deals disappeared. His makeup line isn't like distributed anymore. Like,
oh my God.
Like this is like, at what point do you be like, whoa, like people need to chill out for a second.
Yeah. Like, let's ruin this guy's life. Like, oh my God. Like you could just like, take his stuff away, like all the controversial shit he said, take that off all streaming platforms and make him do some kind of apology. But yeah, the fact that his like life is kind of ruined now is unfortunate.
Like this kid, like he already had mental health issues. I'm kind of worried about the kid now. It's like, is someone checking up on this dude? But not even that. What about Ninja? What's he gonna do now that Mixer died? He got that bag and now like he can't go back to Twitch.
Oh no. Well, the thing is, Mixer is gonna pay out the contract they owe to him. I think it's like $10 million that they owe. So they're gonna pay out that contract.
He got like 30 million, didn't he, for that whole contract?
30 mil. But Facebook bought out Mixer. Like Facebook Gaming bought out Mixer. So I guess he's got the 30 million. And now he's like a free agent. Like I saw he was streaming on YouTube.
I heard about that.
I don't know if he has a deal with YouTube or if he's just like kind of doing his own thing on that platform. But
what would you do if you were Ninja? What would you do right now? Like where would you go?
I would try, like Ninja's so big, and there's been like things about like that thing Brime, which is like going to be a new streaming platform. If I was a Ninja, I'd probably just like try and start my own like streaming platform or something. Like he is fucking huge. Like he has
You're not wrong there. That's not a bad idea. Like why not just have him start his own thing?
Yeah, because I'm not sure if he could go back to Twitch, and like I'm not sure if he wants to do that. So
well, I remember hearing that when he left Twitch, they were like very passive aggressive. And they like deleted his channel and like did a whole bunch of like really like just salty things to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'd be able to recruit other streamers if like he had his own streaming service. Mm-hmm. And the guy's so big, like I think he's gonna have money coming to him for like the rest of his life. Like he legit, like Fortnite legit has a character model that's him, like that's like he's like immortal, like like immortal in gaming.
He exploded on the scene, didn't he? Like,
yeah,
he was a streamer before Fortnite, but he jumped down at the perfect time, having like the perfect brand. And then then it was like the Drake stream that he did. I remember watching it live too.
Oh yeah.
When he went on with Drake. And after that, superstar, Sprite deals, Red Bull deals, everything.
Yeah, I think now, like, I think some of it's gone to his head. I don't watch his stuff that much anymore. I think he can be kind of like an asshole. Like every now and then, like these Instagram pages I follow will play like ninja clips of like present day, like what he says, and he's talking about like how much money this guy doesn't have, like another streamer, I guess, or like another video game player, and he's like, yo, I can literally buy the bank that owns the mortgage on his house and shut down his house. And that's what he said. I'm like, this guy's a dick. Like,
As
I
far
mean,
as insults go, that's a fucking
yeah,
flex.
it is. And like, he's worked for all of it that he's gotten,
but it's
and it's
douchey.
justified, but it's kind of a douchebag thing to say.
I mean, I'd be surprised if he wasn't a lot more douchey at this point. Like, he's pretty much like the king gamer. Like, and I wonder if Fortnite dies, which I don't know how popular Fortnite still is. I never played it. I never really watched Ninja, but like, I can't believe that game is still popular. Like, I'm surprised it's still popular.
Yeah, I mean, I was into it for such a long time. I have like my own like gaming page like on Instagram, and there's like I have a lot of clips from me playing Fortnite. I think it's just popular because people keep up with it. Like the content, the people who manage the content for that game, they make updates like every week, like consistently every week. Like Epic, like their whole team of developers are just like super like making all these intricate changes all the time, and they listen to people. If something's like top voted on Reddit, it's like, here's like some kind of player skin that like I drew up, and it will be like a big cat with like muscles. Like I'm pretty sure that's how like one of the character models started, was like someone drew it on Reddit, and someone from like that works at Epic saw it, and then they just made that skin that you can buy. So like they listen to the community, and I think that's why they've been so successful. I mean, I'm off the Fortnite grind. I was on it for like 2 years probably, but yeah, that game's going to be around for a long time.
Well, I got no feelings on it. I play League of Legends. That's like my game, and like the game that I follow like the culture of a lot. And they do the same thing where they're on top of it. Like they're always fixing things, adding things, updating things. And I'm just like, it keeps the game fresh for you.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's nothing like playing like an old game where you're like, wow, is this like still a bug in here? And you're like, oh yeah, it is. Like no one even looks at this game anymore. Like when the new Call of Duties come out, you play like the old ones, and someone's just running around with like aimbot and like throwing airstrikes at you because they have hacks on, and there's no one monitoring the game. So like no one cares. Like
you almost can't make games like that anymore. It's like now when you make a game, you're going to be with that game like it's a fucking child, and you have to like grow with the game and the community, or else your game is just like,
yeah, and your game has to have microtransactions in it, or else it seems like it's not going to be good.
Right. Isn't that the weirdest thing is microtransactions? Like,
yeah,
what a weird 2020, not even, it's pre-2020, just like weird hacking. Like no one thought before like of selling a skin. They were just like, yeah, $15 a month to play. You can unlock it if you work hard enough. Now it's like free to play, but
well, it was like everything was like locked behind like doing challenges in the game, and then you finally receive something. But now it's like you can pay to make that go faster, and then like if you don't want to pay, the grind is like you're gonna have to have 10 days of playing time on this game to be able to receive this. Like
yeah, the grind is like a real grind to actually unlock it.
It's like people keep setting the bar like so high and so high about like how fast they can obtain things, and it's just like really just ruins it for everyone else.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I think something goes understated is how hard it is to be like a streamer. I think a lot of people think it's easy to be like a full-time Twitch streamer, but like that is a grind. You want to talk about a grind? You have to be playing like 8 hours Monday through Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to like to start to get into it. I think I have like 20 followers on Twitch or something. But the thing is, like, I got the webcam, I got the mic, I got like the capture card, everything, and I had to buy a new laptop for it. So it cost me like $1,000 to get everything started. But when you do that, it's just like you need to get like familiarize yourself with like all the software, which I did. And then like the hardest thing is developing some kind of like streaming schedule and like template where you can like set it, like this is what it's going to be. I don't do that. Like, you know, like I play video games when I feel like it, and like I can't.
You have to approach like a job or something.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'll be on tonight from like 7 to 11. It's like, well, like if I sign on at 7 and I die in Warzone a bunch, and around 9, my friend's like, yo, you want to like go grab some beers? Usually I just get off and I'm like, yeah, fuck this, because this is frustrating. But like streamers, like just like, and you have to keep like some kind of temperament. I don't think anyone wants to see people like just like screaming and throwing their controller, even though that can be kind of funny sometimes. But you know,
My biggest thing with streamers is that they're never entertaining. Like I would choose someone who's entertaining more than they're good at the game. Like more often than not, it's like I'd rather watch someone play a shitty game who's hilarious, and they're shit at it, than someone who is just like challenger in League of Legends, which is like the best rank.
Yeah.
Like they're challenger, but the whole time you're watching them play, they're just like click, 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 click. Oh, yeah. And you're just like, what is this shit?
Yeah. I mean, that's why like Dr. Disrespect, I was like really, it took me a long time to notice this, but he's not actually like really good at, well, he's really good at video games, but he's not like pro level. Like pro level people can shit on him. Like his kill death in like Warzone is like 2.20. Like that's what mine is. So like he's just entertaining. His like production value is
my god. Yeah. Like, his like scenes that he would do, the animations and shit, and like the little segments. I mean, like I don't know anyone else putting that much work into a stream.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I wouldn't be surprised if there are like 2 or 3 people like in the background, like working with him, like working that stuff. But also like Tim the Tap Man. Not good at video games. Like that's where he gets like shit on by other gamers that like how he's bad. But his presence like on the mic and like what he says and how much fun it is to watch him play with other people.
He is fun to watch. Yeah, he's so entertaining. I love his voice is so good. He's such like a radio broadcaster voice.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's like 90% of what it is.
Yeah, it's really hard to describe, but I mean,
dude, I went to TwitchCon one year.
Oh really?
Yeah, I went a year when they got acquired by Amazon. I think this was like 2017, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it was a lot of fun. It was also very surreal, like meeting these internet famous people. I was like, whoa, like you're not that different. You just do it more. Like you just
yeah.
Like I was like, oh, you're some normal ass dude. Like, what's up, man? Like
yeah. That's why it's funny. Like Ninja's come up, like him being just like kind of like a nerd that plays a lot of video games and goes to these like. I mean, before he was big, he was going to tournaments, like driving to tournaments that are like across the U.S. for like no money. And just to think that like he's going to be on like Ellen and like these late night talk shows and like the transition that he's had to make between being just like some guy that plays video games for a living to like having to hold his own on like late night talk shows.
That's crazy.
Like I'm sure it doesn't come natural and he's done a better job at it. But I think I remember on New Year's Eve when he was like hosting like that Fortnite party like in New York City, Times Square, where he was trying to like make everyone like do the floss and like no one wanted to, and it was just like so cringy like watching like the New Year's ball drop and he's like trying to like they basically just like handed him a mic and like they're like, all right, do your thing. Like he's not an entertainer, he's just like he plays video games. So
well, he's an entertainer in some regards because he's entertaining, but it's like he's entertaining from his computer chair to people who are like in his ecosystem. Like to put him on Ellen and to be there for the New York Times ball drop and to have this guy flossing, to me, that's like the beginning of the end of you're like, maybe this mainstream bullshit ain't for me. Maybe I should just be famous on the internet. Like,
yeah. Like, I don't want to do this shit.
That sounds so miserable to try and make a bunch of kids floss.
Well, because it was in, I think it was 2019. And it was about to be 2020. Or no, I think it was 2018. And it was about to be 2019.
That sounds about right.
He's trying to make all these people do it, but like they're in Times Square and it's like 15 degrees, and like no one can go to the bathroom, and everyone's just huddled together, and like no one. I don't want to do that. Like
I was like, fuck this blue-haired nerd up there, like trying to make me do some stupid dance. He's like, I'm just trying to not pee on my own leg. Like what's going on over here? Yeah, I love that. I love that you're into that because I can never actually talk Twitch or any of this like internet subcultures with people. Like that's like my nerdy passion is that whole underground world and sub community of people who are making serious dough. Like kids who are 17, 16 making more than their parents in a month. Like they make more in a month than their parents made in probably a year. Like it is insane.
That 13-year-old kid Booga that won like the Fortnite World Championship made, I think it was 3 million, but it turned out being like 1.5 after taxes. But $1 million when you're like 14 and you like don't even know. You like, I wouldn't even know what to do with that. I still wouldn't even know what to do with that.
Yeah, but then he also is now he's got more fame. He has more people watching his stream, which equals more subscribers, equals more donations. Yeah. Like people don't think about all that shit now. You know, it's like
yeah, it's just like it's really hard to get involved. Like I've been looking it up and I've been like super interested in it and for a long time. And that's why I started streaming a little bit. But I mean, once you get like the ball rolling, like I mean, I guess you can become a Twitch affiliate after like you get 50 followers and you accumulate some kind of like viewership and playing time. But after that, you don't start making money. Like you start making money when you get like sponsorships and partners. But that's a long way from just starting out. And like,
how does it work? For every subscriber you make, it's $5 to subscribe. You get $3 as a streamer, right? That's how it goes.
I'm not, yeah, but I think that's how it goes usually. I mean, I know people can subscribe for longer and give you more money. I know Twitch gets a cut of it, but some of the top streamers can negotiate with Twitch into like getting their percentages different. So like the subscriptions will pay the streamer more and than usual, and then they'll pay Twitch like a lesser amount. But yeah,
from the outside, from my perspective of like, I've seen individual streamers go from like a couple like double digits to triple digits to quadruple. I've seen like some streamers grow over a course of like a couple years into really big streamers. And the things that I've noticed that the pattern they all have in common is they grind that shit out. They're always playing. Usually they specialize in like a certain character or something. And like they're usually at least somewhat polarizing in like they have like either an asshole or they're passive or they're something like that.
Or they're like an extremely nice guy. Like,
yeah.
Which is a rare case.
Yeah. But then like it just seems like they just kind of grind it out. But then I've also noticed the growth person who, and this is perhaps I think the smartest one, is that they just network with the right other streamers. Like they just somehow find like the perfect window to become friends with a bigger streamer. Like, and then they do start doing collabs. Like it seems like their real hack is to like do a collab or something, like to work with other streamers with a slightly bigger audience, because I've seen so many people just sort of like naturally weasel their way up the tight ropes to where it's like, oh, like they're not that talented, they're not that entertaining, like, but because they finessed relationships, it's like now they're getting more and more, and like that seems like a way to do it.
That's smart. I mean, I know like whenever big streamers, like whenever I'm like really like looking into it and like looking into their channel and seeing how many views they get, I'll like get interested in it. And like Cypher PK, who like streams Fortnite, he's like most popular for streaming Fortnite. He had that big blow up like in like when Fortnite just started, he made this like trap tower, and then like trapped someone in it, and it was like one of the most like awesome videos, like Fortnite clips you could have. And like after he got that, like he's been streaming for 4 years before that, 5 years before that, World of Warcraft, like World of Warcraft. And like he had like a following, but like a consistent small following, like 200, 300 viewers, like all the time streaming World of Warcraft. And then he had this Fortnite clip, like trap tower thing made that no one's ever seen before, in like an online match, and he trapped someone in it, and one like victory royale pops up on the screen. And then like that video went so viral, he was explaining how it was like overnight, like he had 500 people on the stream the next day, then the next day he had 700, then the next day he had 1,000, and then like weeks after that he's streaming with the top streamers. And then like he's extremely good at video games and has been the whole time, but just he gets that notoriety, and then all of a sudden like he's famous, like, you know.
What I love about that story is he was streaming for 4 to 5 years consistently, and then finally he wasn't scared to take a chance, an opportunity at like a new game, just doing something stupid, and it went viral, and he finally got his moment. Like I love that shit, because he hustled and grinded for that one moment. You know what I'm saying? Like I like hearing that. And the last thing I forget, like you just mentioned, like last thing I didn't bring up of like reasons people blow up is just being really skilled. Like that always helps. Like just being the best player probably helps you get, noticed. But like I love hearing that story, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah. And like on like what you were saying before about how like they're good at networking. I mean, like you can have people, sometimes I'll see highlights of like a little kid that's really good at Fortnite, like someone really big will host their stream, and they'll start like crying because they have like 2 viewers, and then all of a sudden they have like 2,000 viewers because they're watching, like they're getting their stream hosted.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God. And they're like freaking out. And like, and if they're good, usually like if they're really skilled and they get their stream hosted, they'll have viewers that just stay with them, and they'll accumulate hundreds of followers just in like that one streaming session because people are like, this kid's actually pretty good.
Yeah. What's it called in the Smash community? I don't know why I don't even play Smash, but I just like it. Zero, this new like YouTube video trend started where they would find these really young kids who are really ranked, like high ranked online. And then, and then they would play they called them the gamer prodigies. And so they made these YouTube videos with them. And then some of them became like really big after that because they were just like 14-year-olds who were so talented.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I know the videos you're talking about. It's like today I play the 3rd ranked player in the world or whatever. Like that'll be like the description or the thumbnail. There's also this guy on like Warzone, this like really good player who has like thousands of viewers all the time, Cloaksy, like played a random duos with this guy named Iceman, and he like looked up his stats like on stream, and he saw that he had like more wins than he had, and he was like, holy shit. So he just like met this random guy that was like really good at the game, and all of a sudden like he basically made this dude like a streaming
he made him famous. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
People are commenting like, oh, Iceman, I need Iceman again, like I need to see him more. And then like all of a sudden like he just starts his own channel and he's a streamer now. Like,
dude, I'll never forget when I lived in Richmond, like 2014 to 15. Me and my buddy got really into Destiny, that game Destiny.
Oh yeah.
It was such a fucking awesome game. But there was this kid, he was like, I don't know, maybe like 15. His name was Fresh Dragon. Dude, I've never seen someone so good at first person shooters in my life. Like,
really?
This kid should have had his own channel. Not only was he fucking hilarious, but he was insanely talented. Like he would just clutch. Oh, yeah, spit everywhere. He would just like clutch out like 1v3s and like 1v4s and like, dude, this guy was just insane. Like I remember just being there being like, you know, if I ever need a reminder of how bad I am and how much of a boomer I feel like right now, it's this kid right here.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. And I get that feeling too, that like I'm one of those people. Like not to toot my own horn, but like I'm especially like at Smash and shooting games and like basically every game that I'm like really into, I'm just like a lot better than my friends at it, but I'm not as good as like pro players. Like you know, everyone you meet's like, yo, you like Smash, dude, I'll beat your ass in it. Like
everyone
I'll say that, and I always do. Like I always do. Like I've played like kids that have played in tournaments before. And I've like held my own, but I haven't like beaten them. But I think it's just like a drive I need to tap into to like.
What's the name of your channel? Like, do you have a channel? Like, what's the name of your Twitch channel or something?
It's my PSN name is momspaghetti34, and it's like twitch.tv/momspaghetti34.
Dude, that's a great brand name. I love that, Mom Spaghetti.
Yeah, well, I got a PS4 when I was about like 21, and or no, I was like 19, I guess, or 20, but I got the PS4 and I had blonde hair because I dyed my hair blonde when I was like working at this restaurant, and like one of the chefs just called me like Mom Spaghetti because I look like Eminem with like blonde hair. So that was like my PSN name basically. And it has been that for like the longest time.
Dude, okay, when I post this video, I want to make sure you send me like a link to your Twitch or something like that so I can put it in the description.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Dude, we should probably start wrapping up. But Brian, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you've been a really fucking cool dude, man. Like,
thanks, man.
You're like a really solid dude.
Yeah. I'm glad I could. I wish I could like articulate myself better sometimes, but I feel like I need to get everything across. Like, I got everything across like I needed to get it across. You know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had no idea what to expect from reading your message. I was like, oh man, this poor guy. I just want to hear about his unfortunate life. But I was like, oh, fucking Brian Green, man, this dude's chill.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming on the show and responding to a random Craigslist posting. I don't know why you were on that section, but hey, you know what? Here we are.
Dude, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. You know. It was really cool to just like do something different like with my days because I can't work and all that shit. So this has been really fun, man. I appreciate it.
Dude, fuck yeah. Well, guys, that's it. Please subscribe to Brian's Twitch channel. He needs all your love.
Spaghetti34.
I'll link it in the description. And if you're listening, you just heard it. All right, guys, that's it. That's the angle. Peace out.